good evening. You're welcome to the Discovery Show TDS TV here on Facebook and on YouTube. My name is Precious Adadidiodu, and this show is ably produced by Mr. James Kobina Opo. And thank you so much for always sticking and staying with us. I'm happy to be interviewing Mohammed Ibrahim. He is a pharmacist, Ghanaian trained, and now a PhD student in the US. You're welcome, Nurudeen.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for inviting me to the interview. Yeah.
Tell our viewers, who is Nurudeen? Who is Nurudeen?
Thanks for having me onto the show. I'm really grateful to share with you a bit of myself. So my name is Mohammed Ibrahim. I come from Tamale. I come from a family of 10. Also, I had my primary, secondary education in Tamale. So my secondary education was in Ghana Senior High School, Tamale. So I'm a proud Oga, like that's how we call our old alumni. Yeah. Then from there, I went to King University to pursue pharmacy. Then I completed my pharmacy degree in 2014. Then proceeded to do my master's at King University again and finished in 2017. And in 2019, I got admission to come to the US here to pursue my PhD. Yeah. So
a great journey. Yeah. A great journey so far. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nurudeen. So what actually inspired you to go into pharmacy?
So right from secondary school, I really liked chemistry a lot. It was one of my favorite subjects. Actually, one of my teachers back at senior high school piqued my interest in chemistry. So when we finished senior high school and we were looking for schools to apply, I was looking at courses which had a huge focus on chemistry. So pharmacy was one of the things that came up. And thanks to my dad, he helped me a lot in my career guidance process. He exposed me to professionals who were in the field. I remember once when he took me to the pharmacy he usually buys some drugs from. Then he made me speak to the pharmacist about the career prospects and everything. So when I got to learn about it, I became very interested in it. And it was an option for me to explore. Yeah. So I came into the program just solely because of my interest in chemistry, and it has evolved beyond that.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. So obviously your dad and his forces played a key role in your decision. I mean, together with your love for chemistry, played a key role in you getting into pharmacy. That's the case.
Yes, yes, yeah, it's very important. Yeah, like having that guidance at that stage, from senior high school, you are a bit clueless what's ahead, but getting people already who have gone through the university or even professionals in the fields to talk to can help you, choose wisely the profession. Sometimes we are just choosing professions based on like maybe career prospects or like what we've seen other family members or maybe distance friends like pursuing. So you also want to go and do the same thing, but it's very important to have very good insights, especially from maybe professionals or people who have been in the field. They tell you the real prospects of the school and maybe where your strengths have to be in order to excel in that program. Yeah. It's a very key process here.
Great. Thank you very much, Nurudeen. Obviously, I'm very much aware that you did pursue Bachelor of Pharmacy, what we call BeFarm. And yeah. I'm very much aware that after you completed and all that, they have introduced what we call Doctor of Pharmacy. If anyone is watching us who is not very clear about why that introduction, are you able to tell us the difference between the BeFarm and then also the PharmD, or the PharmB and the PharmD? And will you say that has basically resulted in any greater output in the field of pharmacy? Has it achieved its intended purpose?
Yes. So yes. I think the PharmD was started, I think, in 2012 in KUST. So it came to succeed the BeFarm. So BeFarm has been traditionally the minimum qualification required to practice pharmacy in Ghana, and it was a 4-year program. And basically, what we did in the BeFarm program was you finish the 4-year BeFarm program, and during your national service, you now go for clinical training or like clinical internship. That's where you now get to get some exposure to a clinical practice of pharmacy. But what the PharmD now has done is that it's a 6-year program, and apart from the basic training you get in pharmacy, the additional 2 years is to expose you to the clinical aspect. So now they've integrated the clinical training into the program. Prior to that, the BeFarm, the clinical training wasn't very integrated and isn't very coordinated, because after you are done, you can be put anywhere to do your internship, and your clinical training will vary based on the experiences you are based on the facility. Right? So some will experience much better than others. But for the BeFarm, for the PharmD, the extra 2 years they will remain in school. They use that for a structured clinical training. I believe it's really helped improve the outlook of the profession. Prior to that, people just thought pharmacists are just like they just stay in the pharmacies and dispense out drugs and cancel popular medication. But the duties of a pharmacist is beyond that. Apart from doing that, you also have some roles to execute in the wards, or like also contribute to the medication like selection, also monitoring the medication therapy of patients in the wards and all that. So previously, a lot of pharmacists did not really go to the wards to make their presence felt, like make their knowledge useful. I think with the PharmD, it's giving them that clinical training and also giving them that exposure to at least also venture into the world and become key in the clinical teams. So where they give advice on medication selection, they also give advice. They also actively monitor the drug, because that's the one key role of the pharmacy. You just don't give out the drug and expect to see how. You have to monitor the patient, whether the patient is doing well on the drugs that have been given, so that you can adjust the medication appropriately. If there are side effects, you can also adjust the medication appropriately. So I think the PharmD program has improved the outlook of the profession. You can see we are more clinically oriented now, and they are able to give very better services to the patients.
Thank you very much. So, viewers, thank you so much for being here. We are speaking to Mohammed Ibrahim, who is actually a PhD student in US, and he's a pharmacist from Ghana. Viewers, I'm happy to say that during our graduation, Nurudeen graduated as actually the valedictorian. He was the best student in the College of Health Sciences at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And I think in third year, he also actually won the Nooks Vice Chancellor's Award. The best student in the College of Health Sciences. Nurudeen, congratulations. Retrospectively again.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
what I want to ask is, would you say this is a case of you having met your dream prior to entering the university, or it was just a mere coincidence? And what were the drivers or the factors that actually drove you to actually win these awards and graduate as the best student in the College of Health Science?
I would say was beyond what I dreamt of. Maybe at the start, when I came into pharmacy, at the start I just came in to do my best. I really didn't look that far. Like, I was just trying to myself and do the best I can and graduate with the best possible degree I can get. But along the line, some of this started coming up. You always have to, when you get some of these achievements, you always have to readjust your goals, readjust your dreams, and go push higher, because it tells you like you're more than capable. It gives you that self-belief. Like I remember in my first year when they published our results, I just went to the notice board to look at my results. I was like, okay, this is a good score. Like I didn't know. So when I returned back to the room, well, he knows my the listeners that he's also a pharmacy student, now also a PhD, a doctor now. He came to tell me that I was the one, I was the one leading the class in the first year. So I was like, okay, I didn't really expect that. So from that moment on, I kind of gained some self-confidence. I kind of gained some self-belief that I could do better than that. So from that moment on, I decided to carry that momentum and also aim higher. Like it really improved my confidence, improved my self-belief that I was more capable than what I thought. So, and I kept shifting my goals higher and higher.
If there's someone watching us, Nurudeen, what are you going to tell the person? Like you said, it's whether it was a dream, it was a drive, and you spoke about self belief. In just a minute, what will you tell people who lack that sort of self belief in whatever they do? What would be your advice to them?
Yeah, as humans, sometimes we have that tendency to downplay our capabilities. We have that tendency to look down upon like our so you should always strive to believe in yourself. Like sometimes we do have something we call the imposter syndrome. Like you feel like you are not deserving of what you how far you've come, or like you are not deserving of like what you've achieved. So it's sometimes you have to overcome that doubts in your head. Have more confident, have that self belief that you can achieve or aim higher than what you currently are. And sometimes your current circumstances is not really what will define who you are in the future. Just striving, working hard, and stick to that. And once you put in your efforts, surely the results will show. I once I like in my first year, for instance, I just said, let me do the best I can. Like I just put in the effort. I didn't know what the outcome would be, and I thank God that this is how far it has brought me. So always be self-motivated, have that self-confidence that you're capable beyond what you think of yourself. And always try to be higher. And obviously, with God's help, yeah, you achieve the best.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much. If there's someone watching us who is yet to probably decide which program to study in the university, or there's someone who wants to advise a friend, a family member, or whosoever, what will you tell the person are the roles, the traditional roles of a pharmacist? As a pharmacist, what are your main roles? What do you do?
So, um, a pharmacist primarily is a custodian of medications. Like they know about medications, like how to take them, how to monitor them, how to counsel patients on how to administer them. Also, they provide relevant information to other healthcare professionals. We don't only provide information on drugs to just patients alone, but also other healthcare professionals. So primarily, pharmacist is just a custodian of drugs. Like their roles are very varied depending on where they find themselves. Like you can have pharmacists in the industry involved in the manufacture of drugs. We also have pharmacists in the hospital who are involved in dealing with the patients, counseling patients on medications, advising other health professionals on which medications to try, and also monitoring for the efficacy of or the efficiency of certain treatments, or maybe the side effects or the harmful effects of such medications. Also, you have pharmacists in the community pharmacies. They also do consult on like ailments of like common occurrences, like maybe minor ailments. They can help. A lot of our people rely on the community pharmacists in our communities. Any small ailments, they go to the pharmacist, and then they describe their ailments, and the pharmacists are trained to also handle such. But when beyond their capabilities, that's when they refer to the hospital. It's not all ailments you manage in the pharmacies, but like all ailments of common occurrences, you see the pharmacists are also trained to also handle such. So a pharmacy profession is very interesting. It's a profession where apply your skills in various places. You can be in the industry, you can be in the hospital, you can be in the community pharmacy. So your roles are not just limited to one area. You can have very diversified roles. So like anything concerning drugs, you see a pharmacist involved in that. Yeah. So for those at home who are considering pharmacy as a profession to pursue, I would say it's a very rewarding career, and I have not regretted being a pharmacist. Yeah.
Thank you, Nurudeen. Your internet is breaking a little bit, so if you
Okay.
might want to check that for us, and if you can speak up a little bit for us as well, we'll be
Sure,
grateful.
sure, sure. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I mean, that's a good point to ask. Would you say that the pharmacy license is a money-making machine? That's what I heard. What would you say to that?
No, well, uh, it's not a money making machine per se. It's what qualifies us to work as pharmacists. So obviously, if it's our qualification that makes us, earns our living. So well, you can consider it as such, but I won't say it's a money making machine. People have the notion once you have the license, you can just go drop it off in any facility and just earn some money off it. No, per the laws of the country, once you register a facility, you are responsible for the facility for anything that happens in the facility. So you have to have an hands-on this management on the pharmacy. You have to be responsible for the management, everything. So you just don't put your license there and just forget about the facility. Typically, it's illegal per the laws of the country, and you have to at least have a hands in the management of the pharmacy. So it's not a money-making machine, let's say, but that's what makes enables us work. I can have a B pharmacy degree but not be licensed to practice, and my degree will be worthless in the country because I can't practice. What makes you able to practice is the license. Yeah, so you have to have the license to practice.
Thank you very much, Nurudeen. Thanks, happy to have you.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
want to introduce to you HenBeck 60 Hub. HenBeck 60 Hub. So if you are looking for footwears, clothes, watches, bags, and books, and you want that to be shipped to you anywhere across the world, look no further than HenBeck60 Hub. HenBeck60 Hub. You can contact them through their Facebook channel, that is HenBeck60 Hub, or you can send them a message or call them on +232 546 022 952. Or you can send them an email at henbecktravels@gmail.com. henbecktravels@gmail.com. So either henbecktravels@gmail.com, or you contact them through their Facebook page, which is HenBeck60 Hub, for your shoes, for your bags, for your books, any of these. And if you want that to be shipped to you anywhere across the world, they'll do the best of jobs for you. HenBeck60 Hub, truly a world of endless possibilities. I mean, for some time, not long ago, few weeks ago, I interviewed another wonderful lady on this platform who is Mrs. Obi Pese Bima Priscilla Agokabo Fatu, who is actually a PhD student and also a biomedical scientist here in the UK. And as part of the many things we spoke about, we discussed how to register to come here to work in the UK with the Health and Care Professionals Council. So this is a body that regulates quite a number of healthcare professionals. And I'm going to mention a few of them to you so that at least you are aware and you know which, category of, professionals actually fall under this. So as therapists, biomedical scientists, podiatrists, clinical scientists, dietitian, hearing aid dispensers, occupational therapists, operating department practitioners, orthopedists, paramedics, physiotherapists, practitioner psychologists, orthotics, radiographers, speech and language therapists. All these professionals fall under the ACP, and they are the body in the UK that will ensure that you are registered and you have the license to practice. And to make your registration very easy as an international professional, this wonderful lady, Priscilla Agokabo Fatu, has actually taken time to write a very wonderful book which she has titled HCPC Registration Made Easy. And this will guide you step by step what you need to do to achieve your international registration with UK within few weeks. She did that within a space of 8 weeks, and she was already working. She had her license. So just click the link. I'm gonna drop that in the chat as well, or just page here on TDS TV. You'll see the link there. Just click that. It is a very affordable book, very simple, very easy to read, and within few weeks, if that is your desire to be working here in the UK within this category, you are definitely going to be here. So please do not miss that out. So we are speaking to Mohammed Ibrahim, who is a pharmacist and a PhD student. Nurudeen, you had an opportunity of lecturing in University for Development Studies, UDS in Ghana. And as part of your job now, or as part of your role as a PhD student, you are also a graduate teaching assistant. How will you contrast and compare the teaching, in those countries, Ghana and US? What will you tell us, especially with respect to how pharmacy or your field is actually delivered?
Well, it's a humbling experience to experience both systems. That's teaching back home and teaching here. As you mentioned, I got a brief opportunity to teach at the University of Development Studies. I was part of the pioneer faculty over there when they started their pharmacy program. That was my first time teaching. During my national service and my master studies, I taught in the labs and all that. But that was my first professional teaching experience. I'll say I learned a lot whilst on the job at the US, and it really helped me transition to my current role here. Like there are very much there's a huge disparity in the qualities of education back home and here. There's so much we can do better. We are not doing that bad, but we can do better. Over here, like most of the studies are like student centered, and they are also focused on the synthesis and utilization of the information. So like you see, their courses are designed so that the student, and even their examinations and all that, if you look at how everything is designed, it's made such a way that students can synthesize information, and also students can utilize that information wherever they find themselves. Sadly, back home, sometimes you have that aspect over there, but mostly sometimes we base on this rote learning and memorization technique. You want to replicate whatever information you are being provided, and sometimes your sole aim is just to pass the course, chew, pass, and forget, which is a sad practice back home. Ideally, if especially going to be in professional field, your aim is not to chew, pass, and forget. You have to remember, because you're dealing with human lives. So I would say there's so much we have to do in catching up. Because one thing I realize here is how they integrate very practical experiences on the field in how they approach their lectures, like very practical experience. So sometimes some of the things they teach, you don't see them to be very abstract. But back home, sometimes because you don't have very much relatable experiences, you sometimes feel a disconnect. You feel like the teaching is in abstraction, unless you. So it's when I came here, I better understood certain things I learned back home, because back home you just learn in abstraction and not able to relate information back home. But here they are very centered on how you're able to synthesize information, how you're able to utilize that information, to become a better individual. And I think that really translates into what we see. You see them developing the new West technologies, the newest medications, everything. Like you see them, because they focus much more on creativity building rather than chew, pass, and forget. And well, I'll say our system too, it's not doing that, because I know a lot of Ghanaian students who come here really excel. They're always of the top of their classes wherever they find themselves, because I believe even though we still have some disadvantages, but I think our education system really also prepares us like to excel when we find ourselves in the ideal environment, you know. So there are the pros and cons, but I think we still have a lot more to do back home. Yeah.
Mm, Thank you very much. If there's someone watching us, of course, we spoke about BeFarm, PharmD, and all that. But in the US, is pharmacy, I mean, as a program, an undergraduate program, or it's more like a postgraduate? And why do you think that's the case?
So it's pharmacy. The PharmD here is more like a graduate program, because you can't come into PharmD program here straight from your high school. So it's a graduate program actually. So for here, before you can pursue PharmD, you have to go and do at least 2 or 3 years of college, even sometimes 4 years of college, and gain some prerequisite courses. So like to gain admission to a PharmD program, you have to obtain some required number of courses and some required number of researchers before you will be eligible to enroll into a PharmD program. So they see it to be like a secondary degree, not a primary degree as we see it back home. Back home, right from senior high school, you can apply and get into the PharmD program and do like a straight 6 years, before you get a PharmD. But here you have to go to college and obtain prerequisite courses, something like chemistry, biology, and some other course requirements. And then when you're done with college with your degree, then you now apply to the PharmD program, and before you can become a professional pharmacist here. Yeah.
Great, great. Let's finish this first session with some postgraduate opportunities and scholarships you know within your field at large. Are you able to share with our viewers? Take about 10 to 10 minutes to educate us, if you can.
Yes, so graduate studies, mostly I know a lot of students want to pursue graduate studies here in the US. For graduate studies, regardless of the field you are in, there are so many opportunities here. And even if you look at the outlook over here, currently there has been a reduction due to the COVID. So they are really looking for talent. That's one thing I observe here in the US. They are really looking for talent out there. That's what makes the country great. They're able to attract the best of the best from all around the world to come and make their country great, which is sad. Yeah, but we should also strive to, go back home and also utilize the skills we gain here. But yeah, for graduate opportunities, there are tons and tons of graduate opportunities here. And one interesting thing about schools in the US here is that you usually get funding from within the schools. So you don't have to come with an external scholarship, unlike mostly you see in the case of the European schools, where you have to get an external scholarship before the school accepts you. Here you can get scholarships from the school. They pay students to come and study. Literally, that's what I'm doing right now. Like my PhD is fully funded, and you just have to learn how to search for the opportunities. I've shared some links with you, and hopefully you put them in the chat. There are some resources you can use to your studies. So usually the process starts with searching for a school, and you have to know what programs are offered in the school. So even a simple Google search, if say you are looking for pharmacy postgraduate programs, just Google pharmacy postgraduate students as funded pharmacy postgraduate programs in the US. You see so many options that come. So usually the search is, you don't really see them displaying the opportunities all around, but some do a good job trying to siphon the information from most of the websites. But more the information you need is on the website of the schools. So once you see a list of schools who offer the opportunities, the program you are doing, go to the school website and and check on their programs, and also look at the funding. If they are offering assistantships, some schools will clearly state that this program comes with assistantship, and they'll tell you the funding that's available. And other schools too, they will tell you that you have to enroll first before you get exposed to other funding opportunities in the school. So once you get onto the school site, you navigate through the school site, and also mostly you have to also approach a professor. Like professor has to be interested, in supervising or mentoring you. And the good thing is that you don't really have to come up with a proposal or anything, like submit a proposal or something. They already have the projects they are working on. So one interesting thing I did whilst I was searching for my program was that when I go to the websites of the schools, they have a list of their faculties. So the professors in the schools, you look at their background, look at the research they are doing. If it's something you are interested in, just take a note of them. Some even have their personal web pages where they have a list of the research they are doing. If they have funding opportunities, clearly stated on their site. I'm recruiting PhD students for this program. So, and the next step is once you identify such professors, you should now try and contact with them, because that's very important. Make yourself visible to them. So you have to craft an email, at least read up about their research, craft an email, highlight your interest in their research so that at least they know you've gone through their profile, you've read what they are doing, and try to relate whatever your qualifications are, your experiences are to the kind of research the professor is doing. So in that case, you're able to market yourself that you'll be relevant to them in the research they are doing. So it's just a simple email. They call them cold emails. Sometimes they are not some are very responsive. Sometimes some are not responsive. When I was applying, I applied to 3 schools actually. I emailed about 5 or 6 professors. About 3 of them got back to me. I had some good conversation with them, and that's how I landed my opportunity. Like sometimes they have thousands of applications they have to sift through when they, students apply. So if you're able to capture their attention via the email, they go to look at your application documents specifically, and it increases your chances of being recruited. So contacting professors is very key here, like in the US. Like make yourself visible to them, and once you do that, and also for schools here in the US, some have requirements. So you have to check the program requirements to see what they need. Some will require your CV, require a statement of purpose. So you have to craft good statement of purposes or motivational letters. Also, you have to get very good recommendation letters. And some require standardized exams such as the GRE. So if you are planning to pursue graduate studies over here, you have to think about some of those exams, those standardized exams, such as the GRE. Some also require this English proficiency exams, such as the TOEFL. So you have to also look, if they require, you can ask for, you have to write those exams. But currently, due to the pandemic, there has been an increase in number of schools who are wavering off the requirements. So this is like a very prime opportunity for you to have that standardized exam to apply, because right now they are wavering off the requirement. I know it takes a lot of effort to prepare for such exams. I went through it. It wasn't easy, but we thank God able to scale through it. But right now, a lot of schools are offering waivers, and sometimes you can also ask for waivers. Like you can email the admission officers, ask them that, can I get a waiver for these exams, or can I get a waiver for this requirement? And some will
Okay.
gladly tell you the waivers are available, because they realize due to the pandemic, people are not being able to, write those exams. So this is a very prime opportunity if you are looking to apply to schools without writing those exams. A lot of schools are gradually dropping off the requirements. So you have to, your school search, you have to invest some time, in looking for the schools. All the information is out there, and don't be scared to email professors or email admissions. That's how you get to know about opportunities available. You um, you have to search for the information, like especially for schools in the US. You don't see them publishing they publish it on their school website, and that's it. It just is. So if you don't go search for the information, you wouldn't know. So US, the interesting thing about graduate school in the US is open to everybody, and the majority of the graduate students here are usually even immigrants, so they give very much opportunities to those applying from outside. So you just have to be structured in your search. And I think I should share the links, and if you need more information, I'll be gladly able to provide that.
Thank you very much, Nurudeen. If people want to contact you, how do they contact you? Is it through Facebook? Facebook Messenger, isn't it?
Okay, for now, Facebook Messenger, but if I'm slow in responding, forgive me. I sometimes have a lot on my hands.
Yes,
Because
yes.
my schoolwork. I'll try to respond as much as I can. But yeah, sure, you can shoot me a message on Messenger. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mohammed Ibrahim. If you want to be registered with the Healthcare Professionals Council here in the UK, if you belong to this wide group of people, healthcare professionals, aside doctors, aside nurses, aside midwives, and you want to be registered in the UK, this wonderful lady called Mrs. Obi Bima Priscilla Agokabofatu has written a very wonderful book which she has titled HCPC Registration Made Easy. And she's actually chronicled the very things you need to follow in order to register to work here as a biomedical scientist, physiotherapist, and all the things you can think about. So please do well to purchase this book, very affordable. I'll just post the link in here. It's on our page as well, and you will not regret. Within very few weeks, you'll be able to register with Health and Care Professions Council. Again, if you really want to buy books, bags, footwears, you want them to be shipped to you, watches, wherever you are, please contact HenBeck60 Hub on +233 546 022 952 or henbecktravels@gmail.com or on Facebook at HenBeck60 Hub, and they will help you to buy if you want them to select or buy from the best of wholesalers and to ship them to wherever you are across the world. These are the best people to do this job for you. Books, bags, footwears, any of these watches and all the quality ones, of course. They are going to do a very good job for you. HenBeck60 Hub, truly a world of endless possibilities. So back again, I'm speaking to Farm Mohammed Ibrahim, who is a Ghanaian trained pharmacist and a PhD student in the US. Nurudeen, there's one trend in Ghana, and I want to believe it's also a similar thing elsewhere. But generally, even across the world, whichever country it is, there are a lot of issues about illicit drug use. Let's speak particularly about the use of medications like tramadol, which we like to call tramol and all that in Ghana. It is a very worrying situation. What will you tell us about this particular medication, any other related medication? Let's speak about drug abuse or use of illicit use of drugs.
Yeah, it's a very disheartening situation we currently find ourselves in. See a lot of young guys wasting their lives, getting addicted to these drugs and all that. Such drugs are what we term recreational drug use. They are not being used to treat the condition. They have their special purposes, but they use them for recreational purposes. That's to get high and to feel. It's a very sad situation, and there's an increasing prevalence of drug abuse among the youth in Ghana, and you see a lot of talents and people's careers being wasted just because of that. And sadly, it starts from where they acquire the drugs from. That's where we pharmacists have a very um, important role to play, in curbing this menace in our society. Um, Usually, such drugs are restricted. They are not supposed to be easily obtained by anybody. That's because their potential for abuse. So what people do is that when they take such drugs, it makes them feel good. So like it releases certain chemicals in the body we call endorphins, and those are like chemicals in the brain that make you feel good. Feel like you're in a good mood and a good situation. And the tendency for addiction develops because they only get that reward or feeling when they take those drugs. But sadly, what happens is that as they continue to take those drugs, we have something that we call tolerance or dependence. Their body gets so used to the drug that with time, if say they were taking one tablet to give them that good feeling, with time one tablet wouldn't be enough. They might have to take like 2 or 3 tablets to feel get the same effect. So they develop tolerance to the medication, and it leads to the cycle of addiction where they can't get off the drug, and will lead to like increasing drug use. And usually, set medications are what we also call they are like entrance like drugs into like drug medication, like gateway drugs, because they start with those drugs such as tramadol, codeine. Then from there, they can now upgrade to the more dangerous ones, such as the cocaine, the heroin, and all those things. So if you don't take time, that's where you gradually get to, because eventually those gateway drugs will not give you that level of high you need, and you want to go on to the stronger ones, such as the heroin, codeine, and the rest. So the sad thing is that we, the pharmacists, we have to really regulate how they get access to these drugs. So usually, if you see per our laws of the countries, like drugs are divided into 3 categories. You have the class A, class B, class C drugs. Usually, the drugs which have tendency for abuse are usually classified as class A drugs, and they can only obtain under the they can be only obtained with this like a prescription, a formal prescription, like a prescription from a doctor. Yeah, you have to assign prescription, not just any other prescription, because we see in Ghana sometimes some people get access to these prescription papers and write medications, and so it should be a signed and stamped prescription from a medical doctor. So you should be able to verify the information of the medical doctor before you be allowed to give out the drugs. But the sad thing here is that and such medications are only to be sold under the dispensed by the pharmacist or like by the pharmacist. But the sad thing is that we have these OTCs who unscrupulously go and stock such medications.
Over the
So we
counter.
don't, yeah, the over the counter, that's what we call the licensed chemical shops or the chemical shop. They obtain via illegal means and sell it behind like without regulation. You see the young guys going to buy it from the this over the counter from those licensed chemical shops, and I believe regulations have to be tightened. From information I get to hear, some smuggle it across our borders and get them into the country. Like here, they get them from places like from Togo, from neighboring countries, and they give it to market women who go to buy wares, and they smuggle such even such medications are not registered in Ghana, and they've smuggled them in and come and sell them to these chemical shops. And it's a certain, yeah, because such medication shouldn't be dispensed. Even in pharmacies, you rarely see that occurring in pharmacies, because if there's a professional pharmacist there, they know the implication of dishing out such drugs without a prescription. So it's if you see that happening in your community, if you see a chemical shop dispensing such drugs in your community, you should report them, because they are causing a menace in the society. Such people will now lead becomes they become delinquent in the society, because some of them they spend all their monies on such drugs. They run out of money. They now tend to rob people or get involved in prostitution, or like any way they get their monies to get onto such drugs. So it's really a sad thing, and I think regulations have to be tightened. So if we as individuals in our community, if you know among the youth where they get such medications illegally, you have all the rights to report it to the police, to the pharmacy council, to the FDA, so that they can take action, because they will eventually come and cause harm to the community. So we should all play a role in curbing this menace. If you see people getting involved or getting such illicitly, you should take action. Yeah. So yeah, drug abuse is a sad thing, and they also, I think one common one they abuse is cough syrup, which contains codeine. Ideally, it's in low dose, such that it doesn't cause that feeling, but you
Can you
see
mention
them
the medication again? Your line dropped a bit. Can
codeine.
you mention the medication? Okay,
So
codeine.
codeine cough syrups, like cough syrups containing codeine. You see people also. So that one typically the dose it's which is in the medication that's used to treat cough. It's not supposed to give you that high, but you see them buying it. So if you come to a facility and I see you buying like 3 or 4 or 5 bottles of that cough syrup, definitely I know you are trying to go and get high or like get happy because one bottle won't be enough to give you high. So we should be vigilant as such as professionals when you see people buying such medicine, even though it's it can be given over the counter, but some people buy in huge quantities and abuse them. So, yeah, so codeine cough syrups is one drug. So they are all under a class of drugs we call the opioid drugs, and they all act in the same way: codeine, tramadol, and the rest. So, yeah, we just have to be vigilant and you know caution individuals who abuse such medication. Apart from the effects of the drug addiction, they also have very severe effects like overdose that cause respiratory depression. So, like you see people who start having difficulty in breathing, they have anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and all that. So, it's really sad. So
Mm.
we all have our role to play in curbing this menace in our society. If you see it, report it. Yeah. So that's what I would advise.
Thank you very much, Nurudeen. Obviously, you've enumerated some of the challenges and also professed some solutions. So one of it clearly I get from you is that there are lapse in regulation from probably the Pharmacy Council, and two, there's a need for our borders to be tightened so that smuggling is minimized where the need, where possible. And obviously,
Yes.
you're also charging societies and communities as at large to report people who sell these medications, I mean, wrongfully, like those over the counter medication. They are not supposed to sell tramadol and all that. Is that not what you're saying?
Yes. Yes. They are not supposed. They don't have the authorization to sell such medication. Yeah.
Mm. On the other hand, will you say that there's a thin line between doing good and making money? Or what I would like to call probably the dilemma of pharmacists, making money at the expense of destroying, I mean, lives. Will you say some pharmacists clearly are very much aware of this? Of course, they are trained and they are very much aware, but they still go ahead to sell to the youth because they are making money out of that. What will you say to that?
Yeah. So that's where professional ethics come into play. So y- ethically, you're not supposed to do that. You want to make profit as as a market person or as an entrepreneur. If your facility is not doing well, your business goes down. So there's that thin line where you have to, for the greater good, not engage in, ideally, when we take our oath as pharmacists, we are even we are called friends of the human race, amicus humanis generis. We are the friends of the human race. So all our actions should lead towards helping the community. Even though yes, we are out there to make money, but that shouldn't be your sole priority. Your sole priority is to give them, the best pharmaceutical service you can provide. So you have to balance that. I've encountered situations in the pharmacy where people purposely come to buy said drugs and I turn them down, even though my sales will be low that day. Ethically, I have that moral obligation to turn them down to do what, and always when you do what's right, people will respect you. And there are legal ways of obtaining money. If you are doing your job well, if people trust you as a health professional, you always get customers. You always get, people patronize the drug in the legal way. And we are supposed to, have that moral and ethical obligation not to cross the line and just solely seek for profits. And if any health professional or pharmacist is engaged in that, it should be a shame on them, because primarily your role is to provide good quality pharmaceutical services and help the human race, not be a detriment to them or facilitate the ills in the society.
Great. Irene Bosman has a question. She said, what's your say about how antibiotics are used in Ghana without prescription? Does it contribute to the danger of antimicrobial resistance?
Yes, that's also another challenge we are facing, a very huge challenge. And right now, a lot of the antibiotics are becoming non-functional because of abuse. You see people take antibiotics for all sort of reasons, from a simple headache to a simple fever to just even coughing, and the first line is antibiotics. And antibiotics also are part of a class of medications where they can only be obtained at the prescription. There should be no way you should be able to obtain antibiotics over the counter or from a licensed chemical shop. They are not authorized to also provide such services. And it's really sad, because if you don't use the antibiotics for the right purposes, the the organisms, or like the microbes you are trying to fight, they're also living things. They evolve, you know. So if you don't use it in the right way, like for instance, if you come to kill me with a knife and you don't succeed in killing me, and I know you have a knife with you, the next time you are coming to kill me with that same knife, I'll be better prepared to protect myself against, that's how it works. Even we see that the coronavirus, you see how it's mutating. Every day we are hearing of different variants. So it's kind of a survival mechanism for them to cope. And the illegal or use of antibiotics, if they are not used properly, you realize that it can contribute to failure of most of these antibiotics. So most of these organisms develop resistance, and more of the antibiotics which were really capable in the past times are no longer effective in this current situation. So most of the times, self-prescription is really bad, and I'll advise we desist from it. Also, if not every symptoms are the same. For instance, we have that in our households where, like, maybe I suffered from these symptoms, then you are suffering from something similar. But oh, when I was suffering from this, I took this medicine. You too, you can also take. Then you give it out. They are not the same illness, you know. And also, how we use our antibiotics also is very important. When you are prescribed an antibiotic, try to take it to the fullest course. Like, there should be nothing. Like, usually we dispense antibiotics according to the duration of treatment. So when you are giving antibiotic, by the end of your treatment, there should be nothing left or surplus available to even go and give to your relative to also go and ailments. So you have to really be rational on how we use antibiotics, because the the rate at which we discover new antibiotics and the rate at which the old ones are failing is sometimes. So yeah, there's so much resistance developing, and there's so little or so few antibiotics which are now developed. So we just have to be careful in how we utilize them. Should be only under the prescription or under the advice of a pharmacist
And just
or qualified health professional. Yeah.
Okay, just under 2 minutes, if you can touch on it, just in the same vein, issues of antimalarials and specifically analgesia, specifically paracetamol, where we are coming from. People do prescription for themselves all the time, taking paracetamol, sometimes with no, they don't take the right dose. If you can educate us on that, antimalarials, analgesia, especially paracetamol.
Yeah, so antimalarials too, yes, they have very high potential for abuse, usually because malaria is currently endemic in all parts of the world. Any slight fever, any slight headache, fever, our first result is you have malaria. So now there are a lot of rapid diagnostic kits you can easily use to confirm if you have malaria, and they are readily available in some pharmacies. You go to the pharmacy, you just say, I want to do the malaria test. They quickly do the test in under 5 10 minutes. You know if you have malaria, then you can go ahead and treat yourself accordingly. So you should only use such medications when you have confirmed cases or maybe the clinical symptoms, which is judged by a qualified professional to, they are qualified to diagnose. So when they look at the symptoms and they can judge that this is the disease before you go ahead to use. So we shouldn't self-medicate. You don't, when you come to the pharmacy, one thing I advise a lot of people is when you come to the pharmacist is there to provide the information to you. So you should tell them what's wrong with you. Don't come asking what you think you need. They are much more informed about what you need than what you think you need. So when you go to the pharmacy, I recommend that you describe your symptoms or consult with them, and they will now recommend whatever medications they'll give to you. And there's also the tendency like to abuse analgesics. Analgesic abuse is very, very prevalent. You see people, all sort of analgesics, this APC, quick action, all those things. Um, quite remember in the when I was practicing, there was this guy who used to take it like every day. Like every day, he says he has chronic pain and he's just taking it to this. So such cases, you have to seek professional advice. And such drugs, with time, they do a lot more harm to our body. Especially, for instance, paracetamol do a lot of harm to our liver if not taken properly. So you see people having liver disease and all that. So you have to be very careful. Always seek for professional advice when you want to take any medication. Yeah. And let us not be self-prescribers at home. Always seek for professional advice. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that last stroke, Nurudeen. So, if you are anywhere across the world, you might even be here in the UK, but you are looking forward to registering with the Health Care Professions Council. That is the body that is supposed to regulate some professions, including biomedical scientists, dietitian, clinical scientists, occupational therapists, paramedics, physiotherapists, and what have you, radiographers, speech and language therapists, a whole lot of them. You need to register with the Health and Care Professions Council in the UK. But how do you do that? There's very limited information or detail about how to go about that. So there's a very wonderful lady whom I interviewed a few weeks ago on this platform. She's called Mrs. Obipese Bima Priscilla Agokabo Fatu, and she has written a very wonderful book about HCPC registration made easy. HCPC registration made easy. HCPC is Health and Care Professions Council. And this is a very wonderful book that can help you to register in less than 2 months. You are there. So I've just dropped the link in the chat. Also, just go to our page, get the link, click that, and it's a very affordable, wonderful book you can get to be guided to be here within a few months. That is a very great book that will help you to achieve your dream. The next thing is that if you need any footwears, clothes, watches, bags, books to be shipped to you anywhere across the world, you probably want to buy them in the UK, in China, in US, wherever, and you want, a company to buy very great items and send them to you wherever you are across the world, just contact HenBeck60 Hub. You can reach them on Facebook, and the name is HenBeck60 Hub, or you can contact them on +233 546 022 952, +233 546 022 952, or henbecktravels@gmail.com. HenBeck60 Hub, truly a world of endless possibilities. And I'm happy to say that I've been speaking to my own roommates back during undergraduate studies, from Mohammed Ibrahim. Any final words, Nurudeen? It could be anything you have said, anything I didn't ask you. It could be a shout out, but within 3 minutes, if you can do that for us.
Yeah, I'm really happy to share the little I can from my experiences, and if it serves as an inspiration to anyone out there, I'm glad I'm able to do that. And you should keep working hard. Keep believing in yourself. Because there are great things ahead, and also surround yourself with the right people. And I can say attest to that fact. Imagine currently all you guys who are around me are all doing big things right now. You mentioned Dr. Daniel Anokwa. You two are also there, also pursuing your PhD now. And so, like, surrounding yourself with the right people really can condition you to achieve better, because you're always motivated to push to the limits, and also just believe in yourself, and also be very prayerful, always seek for guidance from God, and very prayerful for in everything you do. Yeah, and surround people. Yeah, that's all I'll have to say.
Say a very big thank you. So this is the Discovery Show TDS TV here on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. The whole idea of this program is to bring professionals in the diaspora and beyond who are making significant impact in the area of healthcare, politics, religion, pharmacy, science, academia, anything you can think about. And the sole aim is that, just like Nurudeen has done, he told us where he's coming from, where he is, what he's doing, education, and all that. And that is seeks to bring us accurate information, to bring us inspiration. We can draw on some of these guidance so that we can all rise together. That is the whole, and the main purpose of this platform. So we are just trying to support each other to rise together. So please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel here on Facebook and on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, the name is The Discovery Show TDS TV. Kindly do us the favor and the honor by subscribing to our channels, referring to other people, and then let them watch this interview, share as well. So this program is ably produced by Mr. James Kwabena Opon, and I've been speaking to Mohammed Ibrahim, a Ghanaian pharmacist and a PhD student in USA, and I have been your host, Precious Adade Diodu. Thank you, Nurudeen, for coming. Thank you, viewers.
Thank you, Tim.
See you some other time. Thank you, Nuru.
Yeah. Thank you so much, too. Yeah.
Yes.